Hello, I'm Mark Scholero, the owner of MS Classic Cars. Today, it's a great day here at the dealership because I'm sitting behind the wheel of not only a super beautiful 1991 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 Custom, but a vehicle that has a twin turbocharged V8 pushing over 650 horsepower that's backed by a 6-speed manual transmission. To start off this video here, this is a non-rehearsed video. If you've been following or you haven't been following MS Classic Cars, I will tell you that I only collect #1 and #2 condition vehicles. If you have not been on our website, please do so at msclassiccars.com. We have almost 700 vehicles that you can reference on our sold page that are all super beautiful cars that we're very, very proud of. One thing that separates us from everybody else, we're the only classic car dealership in the country who services every vehicle we sell, and we document that work with an invoice. As an example, with this particular car here, I've created this new binder. Anything that pertains to this vehicle is included in the binder, and the first thing that I always list is the invoice. This invoice here, which also can be seen within our photo gallery, again on our website, msclassiccars.com. It clearly shows you everything that we've done to this vehicle. We invested a total of $9,169.75 in this car. The other thing that we do here is we go over these cars from head to toe in the detail process. We start with the undercarriages, we get into the interiors, the engine bays, exteriors, to bring the vehicles to the highest level we possibly can. And then of course we present amazing photography. We do over 150 photos of every vehicle. We cover all aspects of the vehicle. And then of course we provide this video that you're watching here today. So can't emphasize enough what we do and how we do it. We're very proud of it. Please dig into our company and see what we're all about and see the type of products that we sell. It will be a good judge of character for you if you're thinking about buying this particular car when I go over it from head to toe. So now, getting into the presentation of this vehicle, the first thing I will say is I've become friendly with the gentleman who actually built this vehicle. This car, as the clean Car Fax report, which is also in my binder here, references, this vehicle spent its entire life in Alabama. This car had really good history, no accidents, no damage reported. It was obviously born a 91 Camaro Z28 as indicated on the Car Fax report. And again, this car has great ownership history. So the gentleman that I bought it from, he was somebody who really got into building cars and customizing cars. And like a lot of people who are in my age group, this is the cars that we had back in high school and college and so forth, these third generation Camaros, they have absolutely taken a huge leap in value over the last couple of years in the market. There's low mileage third gen cars now selling in the $50,000, $60,000 range. They're starting to come out of the woodwork. We've had many of those cars over the years, cars with low miles, cars that are unmolested, etc. But what you don't see is you don't see a lot of third gen Camaros that are customized. I've been looking for one for many years. One car that comes to my mind is a blue iroc Z that was built by Detroit Speed. They're one of the top companies in the custom classic car market. They do specialize in cars also from the 80s and 90s. They built an amazing car if you Google that. Ever since I saw that vehicle, and have seen a few other vehicles on the internet, I've always wanted to have one in my collection. I even talked to my service team about building one, but as you know, that becomes a lengthy process, a super expensive process, and so forth. So one day, I was on the internet. I was on a very small website in the regard of not a website that gets a lot of traffic, and I saw one picture of this car with a very short description. I called the gentleman. He started teaching me all about the car. We even FaceTimed each other, and once I learned what it was, of course I had to have it. So that's kind of the story of how I acquired it from the gentleman I purchased it from. The vehicle was actually finished in 2014. It appears like it was finished in 2021. That's simply because the car only has 475 miles on it since it was completed, and most of the time that he used this car, it was strictly to take it to car shows. It was really just kept in his garage with a cover over it. He treated it with TLC, so that's why it has remained in the condition it is today. Something that I want to mention before I forget is we just yesterday took this video of this car down the street, and it was at a shop that does dyno testing. So I want to make sure that I mention that. Make sure to watch that video. It's a 4 or 5 minute video that we put together. This is actually the dyno sheet that's included with the vehicle. As I mentioned before in the beginning of this presentation, we figured the horsepower at the flywheel of this car is around 650 horse. We simply calculated 15 to 18% loss from front to rear, but it dynoed conservatively at 557 horsepower at the rear tires with just 13 pounds of boost. That is a super statistic, something that we're very proud of, but make sure that you watch that video. That was a really cool thing that we did yesterday and wanted to make it part of our presentation. So let's start with the exterior of the car. And I might, as I said earlier, this is a non-rehearsed video. I might reference my notes here in case I forget something. But starting with the exterior, what's really cool about the 91 and 92 Z28s is they are slightly different than the 85 to 1990 iroc Z or Z28 body style in the regard that they still have that same look, but they do have a different hood. I actually prefer these hood scoops versus the ones that have the vents in them that you would see on the iroc Z. It also has ground effects around the entire car from the factory, again, that you didn't see on the iroc Z, and you also get the rear spoiler in the back. The iroc Z spoiler was smaller. This is a taller spoiler. So I personally think this is a little bit more of a sexier look. Obviously, Chevrolet wanted to improve that aging body style, so they enhanced it for those 2 years, and here we are today. So all of the exterior appointments and features are factory correct. The car was taken down to bare metal. It was literally a shell during the build process, and it was repainted in its original color, which is dark red metallic. Obviously, this paint job is much nicer than what you would have seen from the factory. These factory paint jobs, as people know, they had a lot of orange peel. The clear coat wasn't really the best to talk about. It wasn't brilliant. So when they painted this car, they obviously painted it to a higher level than what the factory was. The clear coat is a much nicer clear coat. It's a lot more brilliant that you would see from the factory paint jobs and so forth. So it looks absolutely spectacular. Some of the custom features that they did to the car on the exterior during the build, besides replacing anything that needed to be replaced, everything on this car has essentially been restored or replaced. I'm referring to all the rubber gaskets. I'm referring to all of the glass. The windshield, the back windshield, the door glass, all of that is brand new. It's kind of slightly tinted, so all of that is new. It has a custom antenna that's on the front passenger fender. It also has HID headlights in the front. It also has LED parking lights. It has custom marker lights that are orange on the side. You'll notice that little touch, little things like that make a big difference when you're actually looking at the car. And it also has these unique door handles. Those are actually off of an Audi, which look really cool. A little bit different than that square kind of 80s door handle, which gives it that little extra modern touch. And then of course, in the back of the car, when you look at the rear of it, you see that tall spoiler with those nostalgic style 80s taillights, but below that, you see those dual-tipped exhaust tips, which look really sweet because they cut them right at the bumper. I think they fit it like a glove. So although the exterior of this car is mostly factory correct in the way that it was designed, it just has enough appointments to set it apart. Now, getting into the wheels. Anybody who knows these cars knows that they're very hard to put wheels on because of the offsets, especially in the rear. We had another car that was similar to this. It was slightly customized, nowhere near as customized as this car. We had a heck of a time trying to fit wheels on the back. We had to go with spacers and do all this kind of stuff. This car has a really nice set of wheels. They're Centerline Rev wheels. They're 18-inch by 8 in the front, 18 by 9.5 in the back. They're polished. They just give this car a very, very unique look. I think they fit it like a glove, and that polished wheel gives the car a very unique, kind of sexy look when the car's rolling by. As you'll see in some of the videos that we did with the dyno and so forth, you will see how it kind of just complements the car, especially when it's moving. So that's kind of a overview of the exterior. I am going to get out here in a second, and I'm going to do a very quick exterior presentation of the vehicle just to point out any imperfections, to be as transparent as possible. I'll do that now, and then when I get back into the vehicle, we'll start to go over the interior. So let's do that now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a exterior presentation of this car. Just going to point out positives, any negatives. But before I do that, I would like to have you look a little bit closer at this unbelievable engine compartment. This is truly perfection. If you look on our website at all the photos, look at this video here, starting with the firewall, the inner fenders, just every single nut and bolt on this engine bay, it looks like, again, it was built at the highest level possible. I cannot say enough about it. So let's go ahead and close the hood here and look at the front section in the hood. Looking at this front nose here, again, we got these HID headlights, LED fog lights, running lights, etc. This is in absolutely like new condition. There's nothing here to talk about. There is a little imperfection within this black paint here. It's not enough of an imperfection where we were going to refinish it and paint it. I just want to make note of it. This is not a $20,000 paint job. This is probably a $10,000, $12,000 paint job. Definitely show quality, definitely much nicer than what the factory offered, but I just want to be clear on that. So you will see a couple of hairline, hairs in the clear. You might see a couple little fish eyes. I'm not going to point, obviously, all of those out in this video because you wouldn't probably see them on the camera. But what I am going to focus on are things that are obvious. So looking at this hood, I really don't see a chip. I don't see a scratch. I really don't see an imperfection other than maybe a couple of the most minor, tiny fish eyes. Like if I were to be extremely picky, there would be an example. It's not a chip. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just a little fisheye. We did not want to wet sand this car and try to take out some of those imperfections because it just looks so beautiful. Getting over to the driver's side fender here, again, these are those custom marker lights that I had mentioned, factory ground effects. This fender is in absolutely flawless condition. No scratches, no chips to speak of. Beautiful, beautiful. This is actually a kind of a transparent color, this dark red metallic. So depending on what angle of the light you look at it in, it kind of changes colors. The pillars, beautiful condition. Again, all this is brand new paint. This car was painted 2014. It only has 475 miles on it. So again, the car has primarily been used for car shows and things like that. I don't see anything to speak of on top of this whole roof. No dents, no scratches, no chips. All the seals are like new. The mirrors like new. The door is in absolutely flawless condition. You'll notice this carbon fiber down here, which looks really trick from the exterior. And then when you open the door, you see it on the door sill. It looks really cool. We added that at MS Classic Cars. The Z28 factory emblems down there. Again, all the ground effects from the factory. This is all flawless. There's not any imperfections on here whatsoever. We got these Audi door handles. These are black. They look super. Again, if you look at this car at the right angle, you wouldn't see it from here, but you'd see it if you're looking at it from my direction. You got a couple little fish eyes in here. Again, if somebody is really, really particular and they want to wet sand this and buff it, they can do so. We didn't feel like it was necessary. Again, the quarter panel is in absolutely beautiful condition. No chips, no scratches. I can't see anything worth mentioning. I would describe it as good as it's going to get. The wheels are new. They're all in beautiful condition as well. The glass has all been replaced on this car, so the glass is brand spanking new. Rear spoilers in absolutely perfect condition. The hatch area back here is beautiful. The rear bumper has no stress cracks like you'd see in a lot of these third-gen Camaros. Again, factory Z28 emblems. They left the factory 5.7 tune port. People think this car's got, you know, the stock motor. They get next to you, rev up the motor, and then you blow them out of the woods. Look at the exhaust tips here, where they just come out about a ½ inch. Beautiful job with those. Taillights, everything's brand spanking new. There's nothing to talk about here. Again, the glass is new. Again, in the top of the roof here, if you catch it at the right light, you can see just it almost looks like a little bit of dust or whatever. That's just in the clear coat. Again, that can be wet sanded if somebody cares enough. In this showroom, these lights are not forgiving. This car actually gets even nicer in the sunlight. Again, this passenger rear quarter here is in beautiful condition. No chips, no scratches, no dents. All the rubber, again, is new. Door handles, new. All the moldings are new. It's just beautiful. Factory ground effects, again, you can see that carbon fiber down here. We matched it on the passenger side. Nothing to talk about up here. Just absolutely beautiful condition. The pillars, this is the custom antenna. Again, passenger front fender, flawless. No chips, no scratches. It's in absolutely beautiful condition. A couple of small areas that I want to just go over quick with you. Again, there's a spot on the hood, 2 spots that are almost like slight burn marks on the top of the clear coat, which one is right here. I don't think it's probably going to be visible in this camera. Again, you have to catch it at the right light. It's about that big. That's there. And one last time, I probably should have mentioned these as I was doing my walk around, but I just kind of remembered. Right here, there's another area right here that, again, if you catch it at the right light, you can see the outskirts of it. But again, it's just super minor stuff. Again, this is a show quality car. If it was any nicer, you probably wouldn't want to drive it. So let's go ahead and make our way back into the interior. Thank you. Now that we're back into the interior of the car, I want to say sitting in this interior is like sitting literally in a new vehicle. Everything has been gone through. It's either, again, been restored or it's been replaced. I'm talking about the headliner, the sun visors. There's no sagging in this headliner whatsoever. It's a nice kind of medium gray color. The sun visors don't droop down or anything. The rear view mirrors in new condition. It actually has a brand new dash pad that we actually put on during our service process. All of the gauges, all of the knobs, everything is in absolutely beautiful condition. The door panels are excellent. The door handles, all of the switches here, the center console, the carpeting, everything in here is like new. Going over some of the custom features, I'm going to start with the gauges. It does have a really nice silver bezel around those black gauges, which looks super sharp. To fit this custom Billet Specialties 14-inch wheel here, this is a D-shaped wheel that, again, we ordered directly from Billet Specialties in the service department. This wheel does not fit the standard steering column, so we had to actually modify the steering column. It still has a tilt column, which moves up and down super nice, but we had to do that in order to fit the steering wheel. I thought the guys in service did a great job with that. This car also has Stewart Warner Maximum Performance white face gauges. This pod right here has 2 gauges, and then they really nicely tucked in these other gauges that are above the center console here. We got a boost gauge, we got a water temperature gauge, we got a tachometer, and we also have the oil pressure gauge here as well. I think just having those gauges here in this cabin really gives you the sense that you're in a modified car, but it's not too modified, if that makes any sense. The shifter that's here, it's got a really nice shifter boot. It's got a billet style, nice ball on the shifter. It also has a custom shift pattern sticker bezel piece that's been on here, which shows obviously the gear pattern. Again, this is a 6-speed transmission. Really important that I emphasize that. It does have a Alpine head unit here, which works 2 4x6 speakers in the front, 2 6x9 speakers in the back. Those are Pioneer speakers, by the way, and it also has a subwoofer enclosure in the rear trunk. Those are 8-inch subwoofers. They're JL Audio. The sound system sounds really nice in this car, definitely better than it did from the factory. It does have custom black Z28 floor mats, which look really good because it kind of breaks up the gray and black in the interior. But most importantly are the seats. The seats in this car are super comfortable. They're out of a 93 Camaro, so they are slightly different than the seats that you would have found in the 92 or earlier cars. Most people agree they're a much more comfortable seat. So again, that's the 2 front seats, the 2 rear seats. They have this unique pattern that the factory had offered, which really matches the interior, and the driver's seat is power. So again, somebody who's taller, larger, you can see I don't even have this seat all the way back. I've got tons of headroom. It's super comfortable to sit in. Again, because this car was built to be a high-performance street car, being comfortable and feeling secure is super important, and these cars really they take care of that task. So again, can't say enough about this interior. Although again, it has been customized, I still feel like I'm sitting in a factory Z28. Getting into the trunk compartment, before I forget, the trunk compartment, we did replace the hood pumps back there so it stays open. A lot of them don't. It does have a cargo cover that works perfectly. You can see that within our photo description. Normally where that trunk light is still there, but now it's an LED light just to give it a little customization. Again, it does have that subwoofer box there. It does have a fire extinguisher, and behind the panel, on the passenger side, we have the battery. The battery is held down by an aluminum battery hold down. Normally you find those batteries in the front. That has since been deleted. Not only is the battery back there, it's a brand new battery, and it also has a battery tender connection. The battery tender is included with the car, so if somebody is storing it, they can just plug it in. Don't ever have to worry about the battery draining. So that kind of covers the trunk area. Getting into the engine bay, this is where things get really, really interesting. I don't even want to think about how much money and how much time was spent on that engine bay. We have owned some of the best cars in the world. Again, document that on our website, on our sold page. As an example, we just got back from Barrett-Jackson. We sold a collection of some amazing cars. Prior to that, we went to the New England Auto Auction, which is in Owl's Head, Maine. We sold another collection there of beautiful cars. Prior to that, in June, we went to Barrett-Jackson again. We have sold cars in the $300,000, $200,000, $100,000 price range. We've had Ring Brothers cars here. We've had everything that you can imagine, concourse correct cars, etc., etc. When you look at this engine bay, please look at the photos of this car, look at the video, just check it out. The engine compartment of this car looks like it was done by one of the top builders in the country. I'm saying that with all the confidence. If you look at the firewall, which was painted body color, they did a beautiful job. Look at the back side of the hood, look at the inner fenders, look at the stainless steel bolts that go up the fenders, look at the radiator support. cover that is in aluminum there that covers the radiator. Just look at the attention to detail of how they designed this entire engine. It is absolutely amazing. This engine is a 5.3, which is an LS-based V8 engine. It does have some slight modifications to the engine, such as an LS6 camshaft. It also has LS1 manifold and fuel rails. It does have an LS1 ECM. It's got a lot of cool components, but most importantly is the twin turbo system. To reference my notes here, I'm just going to briefly go over a couple of these things that are super important to know. Again, we are super impressed with the power that this motor put down. It was conservative, and look at the horsepower, 557 horsepower in a third-gen Camaro at the rear tires. Super impressive. Can't say enough about it. So again, this vehicle does have a high-volume oil pump. It does have 60-pound fuel injectors, Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator. Again, it's been outfitted with a intercooled Garrett 58mm twin turbos. It's got the stainless downpipes, which are all customized, high-flow air intake system. It's got the twin tail Westgates, Walbro 255 LPH fuel pumps, aluminum intercooler lines, stainless braided fuel lines. We can go on, but you got to look at how it was designed, how it all fit in here. Again, it looks like a top builder built this car. I can't say enough to the guy who actually did the restoration. He did a phenomenal job making all of that work. The engine breathes through a really nice exhaust system. We have custom stainless headers that flow into a fully custom stainless steel exhaust system. These cars have dual Magnaflow mufflers in the rear, and again, those super nice tips where you hear all that beautiful sound come out is just spectacular in the back. The engine is actually cooled by an aluminum radiator. It's a really nice aluminum radiator with dual electric fans. Again, they did a beautiful job with all that, making everything fit. You know, putting LS motors and newer drivetrains in older cars has become kind of a craze. As I said, a lot of guys are doing it from the 50s and 60s and 70 cars. You're not seeing it as much with cars from the 80s and 90s, especially when you talk third-gen Camaros. Here's an example of one that was a little ahead of its time, did an absolutely beautiful job. This thing runs and drives like a new car. Super user-friendly. Again, the engine is actually coupled to a 6-speed, this is a Magnum, this is a T56 transmission. That is a super transmission. If you know anything about them, they are awesome. So it really takes it to the next level above the typical Tremec 5-speed transmission. This is really getting into the 6-speed, which is awesome. The clutch in this car, they used a high-performance Spec Stage 3 clutch. You would think the clutch was a harder clutch to operate. It's not. It's as easy as it was from the factory. We've owned many factory correct iroc Zs and so forth over the years. I know exactly what the clutches feel like. This clutch feels no different. I'm pushing it in and pushing it out as we're speaking here, and it really operates super smoothly. It also has a Specs aluminum flywheel too, which is super. It does also have a heavy-duty, high-performance drive shaft, and the rear end has been completely rebuilt. We did that at the dealership here. It's all documented in our invoice. Just to go over some of the information regarding the rear end, it has a Tru-Trac differential. It's got 31 spline axles. It's got Motive 3.73 gears, and it has a black Ultimate 7.5 differential cover. The undercarriage was all refinished. It's all new paint. Rather than painting a body color, more for durability, and it's what it looked like from the factory, it's gray primer. So all of that is brand spanking new. I thought that was a really good choice when they were restoring the car. As I mentioned earlier, every single nut and bolt in this car has been turned. You gotta look at the undercarriage photos of this car. You will clearly see the attention to detail that you typically do not see in third generation Camaros. They did a phenomenal job with that. Just to go over a couple of the things that were done underneath, the car does have power steering. All of that again has been restored, replaced. It works beautifully when you're turning these wheels. There's no issues with them rubbing or anything like that. In regards to the brakes, the car does have power four-wheel disc brakes. You'll notice, again, in the photos and everything, that the rotors are drilled and slotted. They stop the car on a dime. A great selection as far as that's concerned. It does have a lot of upgrade suspension components. It's Spoon, which is a really good name in the business. They spell it S-P-O-H-N. It has, from their brand, it has subframe connectors. It has a torque arm that you'll see right next to the drive shaft underneath the car. It has the rear control arms. All of that, again, is Spoon. It's got E-box springs. It's got Monroe shocks. And it's got Founders Performance front and rear sway bars. Again, this car, it's a super unique piece. It's a blast to drive. It's going to be a great opportunity for the new person, the new owner who gets this car. Going to be super excited. Once again, I can't say enough about it. I'm going to go ahead and start this vehicle, let you listen to how beautiful it runs. As I mentioned earlier, please make sure to watch our dyno video that we did. We are probably going to also do a driving video, so there might be 3 videos in total on this car. Just make sure to visit our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Regarding all the social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, MS Classic Cars is very involved, so please, we'd appreciate if you follow this there. And also, if you visit our website, again, at msclassiccars.com, you can sign up for our VIP email blast. We have thousands of people that follow us there on that as well. If you do go to our website and you notice that we're light on inventory, that is a huge problem for us. We have 50, 60, 70 cars in our collection, but when you put out vehicles like this and you do the things that we do, such as Barrett-Jackson or the New England Auto Auction or Bring a Trailer or Hemmings or whatever it might be, our cars don't hang around. We don't have inventory that sits in here for months and months when you do what we do here at the dealership. So please, if you have interest in this car, make sure to call me directly. I'll go over everything with you. It's a great opportunity. So let's go ahead and start it. Let's listen how beautiful she runs. Fires right up, sounds super nice out the exhaust system. This is such an awesome car. I'm super proud of it. We appreciate you. We appreciate you watching. Thanks again. MS Classic Cars, rock and roll.